I was never really a runner. The way I see running is a gift, especially when you have stage 4 cancer. I'm Anne. I'm running the Boston Marathon, presented by Bank of America. I run for Dana-Farber Cancer Institute to give people like me a chance to thrive in life, even with cancer.
Join Bank of America in helping Anne's cause. Give if you can at BofA.com/supportAnne. What would you like the power to do? References to charitable organizations is not an endorsement by Bank of America Corporation. Copyright 2025.
Are your ulcerative colitis symptoms proving difficult to manage? Tremfya guselkumab can help you manage the cycle of UC symptoms. At 1 year, many patients taking Tremfya achieved clinical remission, and some patients also achieved endoscopic remission. Individual results may vary. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and TB. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Ask your doctor if Tremfya can help you manage the cycle of UC symptoms. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more, or visit tremfyaradio.com.
What they'll do before they open is they will send correspondence, emails, and whatnot to the customers of all those other Neighborly brands, announcing, the new Neighborly, the new Mr. Handyman, coming into town. It is something that, you don't get with really anyone else, and you certainly don't get going into business on your own.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the latest edition of Fran Coach's Franchising 101 podcast. I am Tim Parmeter, founder and CEO of Fran Coach and your podcast host. Today, we are going to welcome in one of our franchise partners to discuss their brand. Now, this franchise is in a niche industry that it's been around, probably pretty much forever. It's something that is always going to be needed. It's not going to be replaced by AI, and it's never really going to go out of style. It is also part of one of the biggest parent companies in all of franchising. That's who we're going to talk about today. But before we do that, quick reminder of who we are. Fran Coach is a national search firm dedicated to working with individuals who are interested in owning a franchise. We're partnered with well over 600 brands spanning more than 70 different industries. Number one goal is to get you properly educated on franchise ownership to determine if this is the path for you. If so, we're going to figure out what's the best one for you to own, and it may just be the one we're going to talk to today. So tune in for that next. All right, and now here on the Franchising 101 podcast, our guest today joining us, our featured brand is called Mr. Handyman. Boy, I wonder what they do. And joining us here from Mr. Handyman and from Neighborly is Mr. Greg Jones. Greg, how are you, sir?
I'm doing wonderful, Tim. Thank you so much for having me today.
We are, you haven't seen how this goes yet, Greg. You may want to rescind the thank you at some point along the way, but we'll Absolutely. try to do our best not to make this too terribly painful for you. And tons of questions lined up ready for you for Mr. Handyman. But I always, in franchising, this is a people business. I like to get to know the people. And want to kind of hear your story, a little bit about Greg and kind of how you got into this crazy thing that is franchising.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give you the quick story of Greg. So I've been married for 30 years, have two children. I have a 25-year-old son, 27-year-old daughter. We moved from the Houston area. My background, I was in financial services for my entire career. Financial planner, then moved over to insurance, moved homes from the Houston area out to the middle of nowhere, about an hour east of Waco, had my own insurance company, and my partner ended up buying me out. So here I am in the middle of nowhere with a little money in my pocket, wondering what the heck am I going to do, and started looking around, and I had heard of this company called Neighborly, and wasn't real sure exactly what they did, but looked a little deeper and said, "Hey, franchising, this sounds really cool." And I guess it was, because that was 7 years ago, and here I am today.
Awesome. So like most everybody in this industry, no actual intent of, hey, let me wake up one day, let's get into franchising. It's just like in that transition and kind of what's next. And once you get in, you don't ever really get out.
Yeah, absolutely. Wasn't real sure even what a franchise was there in the beginning, and so but figured it sounded like a neat opportunity, and it has been.
Yeah, and so you've been with Neighborly for 7 years, and just recently kind of took over everything at Mr. Handyman. And so in franchising, there's certainly the huge people component, but I was also at times like, I don't think we're really all that bright, because the name of the franchises are usually somewhat indicative as to what they do. Probably the case with Mr. Handyman. I'm guessing you're not selling cheeseburgers with that, but talk to us like we are a potential consumer. What are kind of the services that are provided, and who are those customers typically?
Yeah, great question. And like you said, the name does hopefully tell a lot. We do those handyman projects, those little honeydews, everything from plumbing and electrical to drywall and you name it. In fact, we boast that we do over 55 different handyman services in and around the home and small business. In addition to that, Tim, a lot of our owners, as they begin to grow, they start doing bigger projects, things like complete kitchen and bathroom remodels, build deck. I was talking to one of our owners recently that was pouring concrete, doing driveways and sidewalks. So what's really neat about it is there's so many different directions you can go with handyman, beyond just the, changing a light bulb and, putting together furniture.
And so I'm guessing for your owners, that's probably freeing from a standpoint of each of if you talk to 5 owners, my guess is there's probably 5 different pathways that they've grown their business. Maybe they really focus on maybe smaller residential jobs, maybe a little bit more commercial, maybe some of the bigger things. Is that pretty accurate? Do you see a good range of what they're focused on?
Yeah, absolutely. And commercial is we do about 25% across the board commercial. And so some of those guys are really deep into commercial, and other ones don't touch it. Whereas some of them stick kind of with the smaller jobs, and other ones get into bigger things and kind of stay in that area. But yeah, you're absolutely right. If you talk to 5 different owners, you probably have 5 different sort of mixes as far as what type of business they do.
Yeah, and I think it's Neighborly is. I've heard that. In fact, I have proudly stolen this from Neighborly, talking about home service of enhance, maintain, and repair. Mr. Handyman is one, and I don't know. Like, I honestly don't know which category Neighborly technically feels Mr. Handyman is in, but it kind of can hit a little bit of certainly 2 of those 3. Maybe something's broken, and we're going in to kind of fix it. But again, you may be coming in, hey, I just need something way better. So you really can sit in both of those buckets pretty consistently, correct?
Absolutely. We're officially in the repair category. I guess just because probably percentage wise, we do more in that area, but you're absolutely right. We could certainly be in that enhance. And if I thought long enough, I probably could find an argument that we could be in the maintain as well. But yeah, definitely 2 out of the 3 for sure.
Well, I would again, if there was I have been in the past a customer of Mr. Handyman. Where I live now in Arizona, like wherever you thought you lived, that's remote near Waco, it's no comparison to BFE where I am in Arizona. So there's not one here, but I am the person as the consumer, like you guys would be at my house every month, right? With things from there's always some little project going on. I am the least handy person on the planet. And if I try to fix it or do it, there's a really good chance I'm going to need you even more because I'm going to have screwed it up. So again, do you see a good amount of kind of not like a subscription, but repeat customers with Mr. Handyman?
Oh, that is probably the most exciting thing about Mr. Handyman. So before I get to that, I'm gonna take a step back and answer some of your talk more about you said kind of not being the handyman. And I always jokingly say, the old do-it-yourselfer guy, and guy like me, I know you're looking at me right now and see the gray in my hair. That's kind of what the old do-it-yourselfer guys that can kind of fix anything. Garage full of tools, all that sort of stuff, and those guys are getting older, and they're getting to an age to where doesn't make as much sense to get up on that ladder and swing that hammer and operate those power tools. And true story, several months ago, I was cleaning a light fixture up on an 8-foot ladder. And I handed my wife this big globe that was, we were kind of cleaning, and for her to sit down, on the couch so I could climb down from the ladder. Well, see big spider web or something that I'm going to, try to grab while I'm up there. And I reached too far, and I didn't fall, Tim, but I came so close. Oh. And the first thing my wife said was not, "Hey, are you okay?" or anything like that. She goes, "Get rid of that ladder. You're not using it again," kind of thing. And so, it's just, but there's so much of that goes on. And so then we look at the younger folks out there, and instead of the do it yourself, or we call it, they're the DIFM, the do it for me generation. Right. And these guys just haven't learned those skills. So there's so much opportunity, out there. Now, let's now talk about in the, sort of in the individual home. Studies show that, first of all, the average home in the United States is over 40 years old, and requires on average 7 to 10 handyman projects per year. Kind of funny. About a month ago, I was on a big webinar. There were, probably 50 plus people on there. And I told them right in the chat box, how many handyman projects do you currently have, as an estimate in your home? The smallest number I got, the smallest number was 10, and I had several people that put 100 plus, and I don't think they were joking. And so, anyway, the beauty of Mr. Handyman, to get to your the question is, Mr. Handyman's going to go out and they're going to do that white glove, professional, job treatment that, that Neighborly does. And who are they going to call back for those other 9, 10, projects, or 99 projects, right, for the year? So, we track that, and, actually a little over 71% of our revenue comes from repeat customers. And that is huge. I mean, So these guys, they're coming in there, fixing that item, and then coming back for more and more and more.
Yeah. It's a yes business. I mean, pretty much whatever that customer says, "Hey, can you do this?" Mr. Handyman is going, "Yup,
absolutely.
We sure can." And hey, back up for a second. I'm really impressed that your wife told you to get rid of the ladder. Mine would have told me to climb higher, right? We'll check the life insurance. Once you keep going, honey, you'll be fine. Hey everyone, I wanted to take a quick break from our podcast to tell you about our amazing friends at Entrepreneur. If you're looking to become a franchisee or simply learn more about business ownership, and guys, let's be honest, you're listening to the Franchising 101 podcast, so we know you have some interest in this. And I really encourage you to go to entrepreneur.com to check out all of their great content and resources. Seriously, Entrepreneur has everything, all the way from a bookstore to the best podcasts, webinars, and videos, plus information on upcoming events and the latest articles that seriously, they cover all aspects of franchising and business ownership. If you're having trouble deciding which franchise is right for you, start with Entrepreneur's renowned Franchise 500 ranking, which highlights the best franchises of 2022. For 45 years and counting now, Entrepreneur has been and continues to be the most widely recognized and respected authority in the franchise market. Digital and print subscriptions are available, so you never miss out on anything. So seriously, what are you waiting for? Go to entrepreneur.com right now and learn more. And you talk about those two generations, right? There's the one that grew up, I'm old enough to be in the do-it-yourselfer, but I'm really the do-it-for-me, because somehow that was a skill set that got lost. But then there's the older group, right? The 65 plus, which was always kind of joke, hey, that's a booming demographic, and so many franchises focus on senior care for all of that. But there's things in the home that need to get done from that modification standpoint. So I mean, again, whatever generation somebody is falling into, there's a huge customer base and huge demand. Because I know that some of the modification things is crazy how that has continued to be more and more needed as well, right?
Uh-oh, the last cookie.
You can get a new box of cookies in as fast as an hour with Walmart Express Delivery.
Are you my guilty self-conscience?
No, I'm the voice offering you promo code EXPRESS for free delivery on your first order.
Hey, who ate my cookies?
You mean, these cookies?
Order now. Welcome to your Walmart. Promotion valid for first express delivery order. $50 minimum subject to availability. Restrictions apply.
Every cup of Nespresso coffee is an invitation to transform your morning routine into a ritual you can treasure each and every day. Using the Virtuo Pop, a simple touch of the button freshly brews bold aromas and a rich, velvety crema layer for delicious cafe-quality coffee at home. Whether you enjoy your coffee hot or over ice, every sip, every morning is unforgettable. Nothing tastes like Nespresso coffee. Visit Nespresso.com or our app to explore our full range of easy-to-use machines and coffees not found anywhere else.
Yeah, absolutely, Tim. And we have a certification that many of our owners get that is actually certifies them to do those modifications in seniors' home. And the name of it, unfortunately, escapes me at this moment. But it is something that that all of our owners have access to do, and to keep those that boomer generation, keep them in the home longer. Things like the railings and ramps and all that sort of stuff. And so, yes, we do a ton of that, which is as you know, phenomenal area. Yeah.
So I think one of the common misconceptions about franchising, regardless of the industry, is people think I have always done this. My corporate job has been in this industry. Therefore, the franchise needs to be in that industry, or that I need to know how to do it. So can you kind of is that accurate with Mr. Handyman? Do you need somebody super handy, or my 11-year-old is handier than me? Could I own a Mr. Handyman barely knowing how to hold the dang hammer?
Absolutely. So, it's an executive business model, Tim. We're looking for, I always say, that white collar refugee, all those guys, we're looking for someone that can, grow and lead a team. Someone that can follow and execute a marketing plan, and manage the numbers. So we're looking for that CEO type, not the handyman. That's the easy part. We'll hire that out.
Yeah. And my guess is, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, somewhere in the Mr. Handyman system, like in most home services, there is an owner or two that really does get out there, really is good at it, and enjoys it. If maybe there's somebody hearing that, I'm super handy, I like getting out there. Do we turn that person away, or is it just the majority of them are more that executive model?
Yeah, no, not at all. We're not going to turn those guys down. And of course we do have guys that fit that model. And someone that does know those handyman things and has that skill set. I mean, it is a benefit, but it's certainly not a necessity at all.
Yeah. And so if somebody comes in there, they don't have that skill, it's not what they want to do. Walk through maybe some of the things that an owner might be doing on a given day, kind of hey, I'm getting up out of bed. I own Mr. Handyman today. What the heck's on my agenda? What am I doing?
Yeah, for sure. And, kind of as I said a minute ago, I think, a couple of the big things are going to be, growing and leading and managing that team, so, one thing that I'm going to say is important with any business, and Mr. Handyman's no exception, is we always say you should always be recruiting people, right? Because number one, you want to be able, if you do need to replace someone, and number two, you're going to be growing the business too. So I think that's something that's always going to be part of maybe not every day, but certainly every week and managing the team that you do have and continuing to grow that. We have, as you know, a phenomenal marketing department here at Neighborly. You will have, or our owners have assigned to them, a marketing representative that's going to help them with all of the, all of the marketing things. But of course, there's things in the trenches, the day-to-day things that need to be accomplished to put that plan into action. And then, we do a wonderful job with managing, every KPI known to mankind. So, managing the numbers, And the really, wonderful news about all of this is if someone's not an expert in these areas, we've got coaches that will be with them from day one all the way through their entire, time that they own their Mr. Handyman that can help them and train them and teach them how to do these things.
I want to come back to the staff in particular, and as well as the marketing, because there's a couple of cool things that I know Mr. Handyman and Neighborly will do. But when you look at this from a staff perspective, and the kind of the craftsmen that are out doing the work, are we hiring them? Are they W-2 employees? Do we subcontract 1099 thing? Is there a mix? What does that typically look like?
Yep. So in the beginning, we're going to, before you've ever opened up, we call it Sure Start Coordinator, that person that's going to help you launch your business. They're going to help you find who, and notice I said
Greg, I was going to say louder for the people in the back.
Yeah, that's right. That's
help,
right.
not do.
Help, not do. Yep. Find, we want you to have 2, and they're going to be W-2 handyman to start off with. Now, can we use subcontractor, 1099, all that good stuff? Yes. I'll give you probably one of the best examples would be if there's, and I loved how you said earlier, Tim, you said, we're sort of a yes business. Hey, can you fix this for me? Yes. And maybe we, let's say just as an example, someone wants their kitchen floor retiled and you have 2 handymen and neither one of them are any good at tiling. Hey, you know what? Sub it out. Let's not give it away. Let's sub it out. Right.
Right.
So yes, you can do both. And then I think I'm going to read what your next question is the other part of the, sort of the staffing would be our CSR, customer service representative. That is something that owner could do in the beginning, kind of getting the ball rolling. But that is something that they'll get busy pretty quick and, something that they'll want to hand off. We do have call centers and things like that, for after hours and weekends and all that stuff. So you don't have to, they don't miss calls and all that good stuff. So.
And even some online booking things, right? I know can be done as well. But and then I think the other thing for an owner with most home services, but with Mr. Handyman, they need to get their butt out and about, talking to people, networking. Realtors are the best referral sources on the planet. They got a guy for everything, but also even other home service brands. Like, how important is that for an owner to be comfortable doing that?
I think it's a big part of it. As I'd say, shaking hands and kissing babies out there in the area, the neighborhoods and whatnot. And as you suggested, networking with other companies, and I was actually going to say other neighborly brands in that area. We at Mr. Handyman refer and get more referrals than any of the other brands. Just because, if we have a small, and a lot of people will ask this question, Tim, I don't know if you're going to ask me this or not, but what does the overlap look like with, let's say, Mr. Electric or Mr. Rooter, to name a couple of our other neighborly brands? We're going to do those small things, right? If it's if it's a rewire a whole house, we're calling Mr. Electric and having them do that. On the flip side of that, if it's replacing a light switch, they're more than likely going to call us because they don't, it's something they don't need to spend their time because they're working on bigger projects. So there's a lot of referrals internal within neighborly that happen.
And we probably could do like a whole series on all the different facets of support within neighborly, but I think the marketing piece and those the cross marketing in particular. So before Mr. Handyman comes into a market, well, let's back up. How many? There's 19 neighborly brands in the U.S.
19 in the U.S. Yes.
Okay. Can you name them all alphabetically?
I couldn't name them all, not alphabetically. In fact, Tim, I've got a cheat sheet that I'm looking at right now. It doesn't have all 19 of them, so I still couldn't do it. So, I could do it. I'd need a half hour. I think I could do it.
There's, but one of the I think really cool and frankly brilliant things Neighborly does. So Mr. Handyman comes into an area, and you've got a territory, and there's going to be half dozen, might be a full dozen other Neighborly brands already established. And again, you're not competing; these are whole separate, right? It's again the whole gamut of it. You're doing a lot of marketing to those existing customers for that new Mr. Handyman owner before they're ever open, right? Like talk a little, because that's fantastic. And I'm guessing really helps those new owners, regardless of the brand, get off to a fast start.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's what they'll do before they open is they will send correspondence emails and whatnot to the customers of all those other Neighborly brands announcing, the new Neighborly, the new Mr. Handyman, coming into town. And so it's just, it's something that, you don't get with really anyone else. And you certainly don't get going into business on your own, that all of a sudden here's, right, potentially thousands of potential customers, that are already very familiar with Neighborly and the process that they do. So yeah, it's such a big deal.
So how often, and before I get to the next question, we had a team call with everybody with Fran Coach a few weeks ago, and one of our coaches showed up, and she had a direct mail piece from a Neighborly brand, and I'm almost positive it was Molly Maids. And it was just that. It was like, hey, you've used us for, she had been a customer of, and she's like, I think 3 different Neighborly brands. Now here was the 4th one, and it was coming in the mail, right? So she's like, hey, Neighborly's not making this up. Look, I really got this thing. So
yeah,
which basically, and I'm going to call her out because it was Lisa, and I think Lisa was calling you a dirty liar, Greg, and so she was.
I'm going to have to talk to Lisa about that.
So, yeah. But it was kind of cool, even for us. Like, we're in it, and then to actually experience that was kind of cool. And so, how often? Oh, go ahead, Greg.
I want to piggyback on one thing before you go on to the next. So several years ago, I was at Sam's Club here in Waco. And there was a gentleman with with AirServe. I'll give him the plug. But he was with AirServe. It was inside the.
And I'd like to thank all of our loyal listeners for tuning in today and listening to Greg Jones from Mr. Handyman. We hope that these episodes provide some insight into the amazing possibilities that are out there in the world of franchising. And again, maybe Mr. Handyman is for you, regardless of which one is for you. Or maybe we don't even know for sure. That's what our team at Fran Coach is here to do. Again, properly educate you to determine if you should own one, and if so, which. FranCoach.net. Everything Franchising 101 podcast is all our team at Fran Coach. Reach out to us. There's never any fee for our service. We're here to help you create your better tomorrow. Next week, we have another one of podcasts coming out, In Their Words, one of our clients that has now turned into a franchise owner. Always love those stories. And don't forget, you want to watch some good TV on Friday nights, or at least decent TV on Friday night. The Franchising 360 show, myself co-hosted with my significantly better half, Danielle Wright. We're going to talk all things franchising every Friday, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. And also have a couple announcements here. Fran Coach, we've got some exciting changes going on with our team that we're going to be sharing here over the next few weeks as well. But until next week, when we come back here with Franchising 101 podcast, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.